There is a connection between the paranormal, UFOs, and the myths of ancient history. The clues are scattered across the landscape from a forbidden past, maybe even in your own backyard. There is a connection between the true nature of our reality, consciousness, and the unexplained. I'm Carl the Crusher. Let's explore the unknown.
This one on this stone here is like some kind of fascinating sacred geometry pattern, right? It almost looks like a mandala, it does look like something out of Hinduism or Buddhism, like a flower pattern or star pattern on that stone. But again, facing basically directly south. And then check this out, we walk this way and we're gonna go up to this big boulder over here. This one is just humbling to me. It's a good 12 feet tall, 15 feet tall. Looks like a giant egg. And it's got these big solar patterns. You've got these waves all along the bottom, almost like big jellyfish coming down. These big crosshatch patterns with goats or bighorn sheep. And then look at these figures with the headdress. We'll come up here and get a closer look now. I just want you guys to get an idea of this. In this lighting, man, you can really see the layers. Look at how the big goat right in the middle is like standing on a path that goes down and down, and then that same pattern that we saw on the other rock with the bulbs going like this, that could be like rain coming down, is the same thing right there. So it's repeated again there. This is one of the stones that I 3D scanned with the Polycam app and posted on the Patreon page. So we have a 3-dimensional one that you can actually zoom around and fly around. So if you want to check that out, make sure and go join the Patreon page. Just incredible. So these patterns are totally stunning, and this is the Petroglyph boulder that has a lot to do with the winter solstice. When the sun comes up on the winter solstice, the way that it does light and shadows on this boulder. But look at that, almost looks like DNA. Like they're trying to draw, I don't know. See, this one here is it's like a jellyfish or a meteor coming down. Isn't that wild? And then here you've got like a regular villager depiction of a person next to these beings, right? Why does this one appear to have 3 heads or 3 big feathers? And remember, all of the legends from the Hopi and the Navajo, the Zuni, they talk about having encounters with the ant people. Notice how you've got this anthropomorphic figure coming off of his head, or pointed towards him, is this line and this whole spiral, almost like, again, trying to depict psychic energy or telepathy, or witnessing, like the shaman is witnessing the sun or something in the sky, right? And then you've got these big solar depictions that just incredible. Again, that same, when I look from the side, I don't know if you can see this, but look at the sparkles in the rock. It's like glitter. And the symbols go all the way up and all the way down and all the way around this one. Oh yeah, look at that, how it shines. There's like a big X at the top. And then look at this figure. Completely different. This is like triangular arms, and look at the dots coming down off of his hands. Wow. Every time you come out and look at these in different times of day and different lighting, it completely reveals something new. I've never noticed these. These are totally figures. You guys remember when I was with Smithereens and my friend Ty, we went to that Skinwalker Canyon clear across, and we saw what he was calling corn dog people as kind of a nickname, but this is totally what these are. Look, here's you've got the bighorn sheep or the goat right here, and these lines coming down, but then look at this, you've got these little figures with the horns going up like that on top. And then look at this dude. It's like, here's a goat right here with the horns, and then there's the body of a figure with horns, and this one goes all the way up like that. There's so much here that I've never noticed before. You have to come at the right time of day and the right lighting. Fascinating. This is going to be pretty surreal to stay here after dark and do the meditations, right? Again, this is all part of the same canyon and valley system that connects to everywhere else we've been in this whole video series. And if we continue to go this way, it keeps going and it stretches across part of town and then connects to the Magic Mesa. It kind of makes sense, you know, with everything that we've been doing. When you don't overthink it and you just kind of embrace what the indigenous people say and what they talk about. There is some glyphs on this stone here. Then these are spiritual monuments, you know. Fascinating. There's definitely a goat down there and another, like a box of hash marks and things. Well, some of these symbols could be lost. Just from weathering. There is almost an X right here. And there is some carvings on this stone here on the ground. And maybe some up there. This one just absolutely blows my mind every time I see it. Wow, it's so unique to see it in this lighting too. Look at the way the light goes across there and creates all those shadows. It's like a giant map. This boulder over here has got symbols carved all over on the top and around the backside too. Let's go up. I'll stand on some of these lower rocks down here and I'll put the selfie stick up higher and you can take a closer look. But wow, this is so cool. This boulder has a little bit of it all. It has the spirals, it's got bullseyes, It's got figures of people. It's got those wave lines. Some of the figures of human shapes are upside down. There's animal figures all over, and the whole rock is covered all the way down the sides and around, and the desert varnish around this whole thing and on all these petroglyphs is so old. It's just really crazy. Again, you want to be careful if you come up. You can like touch to support yourself, but do not put your hand anywhere where there's petroglyphs. Don't ever touch them at all. So cool to be able to see it with this kind of light and shadows. A lot of times you have to come out here and wait in the rain to be able to tell what you're looking at, but wow, this thing is just covered. Look at that. Right? I'll try to hold still. On the one hand, it looks like a map pointing, like go this way, go that way, and it definitely does point where there's other petroglyph sites off in the distance, like over there. But it's also almost like a timeline, right? See, the people in the middle are like upside down, right? It's wild. Layers and layers. There's so many different petroglyphs carved on top of each other. And then even down in the dish part there. See if I can zoom in a little bit without falling here. It almost look like footprints right there, huh? That almost looks like a big bird, like a stork or like a heron flying with its beak down and its legs up. But then there's like a person at its foot on the bottom. Is that a thunderbird or something? I don't know. And then down to the right of it by the head of that upside down figure is definitely like another bird with wings. But then look how there's the sheep or the goats. See, there's carvings all the way down around the bottom of this thing. It wraps all the way up and over, and then even around the backside. This is a figure. This is supposed to be a person. I never noticed that. Look, here's the body. This is the tunic, and then there's a head with earrings right there. Wow. And look, there's like these little carvings here. Yeah, there's lines going up here. Make sure and glance down occasionally and check for giant rattlesnakes. Right. Okay, there's a couple more petroglyph rocks that I want to show you guys. So let's go check them out. This one is fascinating because at the bottom it clearly looks like a bear paw, right? And then that serpent line looking thing on the right, or whatever it is. But they definitely climbed up here onto the rocks. Oh. And stood up there and carved all of those. But yeah, that almost looks like a centipede looking thing with a tail on the back, or some kind of a star chart looking line. I don't know. Doesn't that look like a bear paw with claws? Has 5 toes, and then what's with all the dots and then that symbol? It looks like a person with its legs up, or almost like a boat anchor, or people upside down, coming down from the sky upside down. It's pretty interesting, this one. But you gotta have to, like, I'm wearing these Vibram toe shoes. You gotta climb up sometimes, but I've been hiking around barefoot a lot. This place has got a lot of pokey rocks, so wearing the Vibrams today. These ones here are super fascinating to me because they look very, very old. And everybody that I brought here agrees that for some reason they look like Sumerian, like these star symbols you see on the old carvings like this one here. You see on the symbols and the charts with the Anunnaki. And why would they be here in Arizona, southern Utah, right? And then when you look at the whole thing, it's like steps going down or up. And then there's all these symbols. There's this almost like a sand dollar symbol or a star symbol. These lines over here with the wiggle and the bullseye. This looks like a spider. Does not look like the body of a spider. The legs coming down and up, kind of. It's hard to tell. But these star symbols, this one here and this one, are very interesting.
I wanted to take a screenshot and pause this for a minute to talk about this because there are some significant similarities to these ancient petroglyphs. These are dated back to about 300 AD to 1000 AD. And notice how some areas look like they have been rubbed off or defaced, and some parts are newer and restored. But look at these star symbols and the symbol that I was calling like a spider. We're going to get into this. First of all, in several videos before, when I have come to this location, I have compared this star symbol or sun symbol to the sun disk in the Shamash tablet. Now, this is an old Mesopotamian glyph that depicts these Sumerian gods and these solar discs or sun discs that are very similar. And I've always thought this was fascinating because it relates to the myths of the giants. You see how small the people there are on the left, and then how big the deity is on the right. And you have these solar discs or sun discs related to the movement of the sun and the solar system. So when you go back and look at this star pattern, for a long time, for about the last 4 to 5 years, I have wondered if it was related to that. And so I decided to take a closer look at all of these symbols and break it down and try to see what I could recognize. And what I actually found was astonishing. There is the ancient Egyptian god of Khepri. He is the Egyptian god associated with the rising sun and renewal, and is often depicted as a scarab beetle or a man with a scarab head. And notice how this sun symbol with these two baboons on the left or the right is a direct match for the 5-pointed star or sun symbol for an offering to Khepri. And Khepri is the sun god represented as the dung beetle, because what he does is he actually is, in the mythology, he is the force that pushes the sun to rise in the morning to come up from the underworld. So in the same way that a dung beetle pushes a ball of dung around and hatches its larvae out of the eggs and renews itself out of the darkness and out of filth, they saw this as a renewal from the underworld into the rising of the sun. And all of this was overlapping in this ancient mythology. And so this representation of Khepri as being a sun god, or the energy of the sun, and also the gatekeeper to the underworld, was often depicted as this beetle. And I wonder if that figure that I thought was a spider was actually the scarab beetle, and if some of these symbols are representation of the worship of Capri. And I also find it very fascinating that this whole petroglyph area is in direct correlation with the rising of the sun during the solstices. This entire part of Arizona and southern Utah has to do with that.
And what they're doing here makes no sense at all unless there's some kind of a psychic connection going on where everybody all over the world was kind of picking up the same signals. Now that you all have an idea of the lay of the land and the environment that we're working in here, I'm going to kind of head back and get myself ready, make sure my night vision is set up and I know where all my equipment is in the truck. I'm going to make sure and charge up my phone and my cameras and drink some water and hydrate. And then we're going to start doing the meditations, start doing the CE5, the contact crusher, the Carl Crusher contact protocol, whatever we're going to call it. We'll start doing that and sitting here among the different petroglyph features while we do the contact methods. And we're going to look at the sky. And again, I don't think it matters daytime or nighttime, but we are going to be staying out here after dark with the night vision to see what we can see. Because I think sometimes the infrared camera helps you see things that in the daytime kind of get just washed out by all the sunlight. So we'll see. I'm going to go back, get hydrated, and get ready for round 2. We are getting ready for sunset now. And I just noticed that look at how the sun sets right down in the V of the rocks right here. And look at where we are when we turn around, and look where that V points is right here, right where we were standing and filming earlier.
Keeping in mind everything that we just looked at a minute ago about the Egyptian symbols that might relate to the scarab beetle and passageways into the underworld for the god Capri and the rising of the sun, I put this petroglyph symbol into ChatGPT and I did a backwards image search, and it says that this petroglyph was probably made by the Fremont culture in Utah or Arizona around 300 AD. And it has some interesting statements here. It says that this could represent symbols that have to do with the migration or connection to the spirit world, and also a hole or path into the underworld in the Hopi tradition, or even the Dreamtime journey, which is also like a traveling into the spirit world. This is also found in the representations of the rainbow serpent myth. And so I find this all correlates to the rising of the sun and everything that we saw in those other petroglyphs with journeys into the spirit realm or connections into celestial movements. All of this seems to fit. ChatGPT even questioned if these petroglyphs were near Skinwalker Ranch and said that it could be part of the local myths of supernatural creatures, interdimensional portals, or ancient sky beings. It asked if there was any petroglyphs with 6 fingers or toes, and sure enough, in our last episode, I showed how there absolutely is petroglyphs of some kind of a being with 6 toes, and this often relates to the legends of the giants and supernatural entities. So there are layers and layers of overlapping symbolism, all converging into these events.
Where it looks like rays of light or energy coming down from the sky underneath this spot. So what we're going to do is I'm going to start my meditation. I'm going to sit right there. You can see there's the V. And I wonder now if on the winter solstice, if when the sun sets, if it sets perfectly in that crack in the rocks there, if it's similar to the Magic Mesa, where as the sun goes down like that, it's meant to, you're meant to sit there or here, and this wedge of light basically goes up your chest and you connect with this higher power. So we're going to sit right here during the sunset and we're going to take it all in. Well, I don't know how to explain to you guys exactly what just happened to me, but I'll try. I sat underneath that petroglyph stone that has the patterns on it, the one that's been kind of intriguing me all day today. I sat underneath there. We're facing to the west, and the sun's going down. And as I start to meditate, I start doing the contact protocol. So I start meditating, I start going through the gateway process and that whole method. And as I'm getting into it, all of a sudden, it's like I felt this intense feeling, like it was like the inside of the stones in that space that I was sitting in. It's like it became, I don't know how to describe it. It was like I could feel this vibrating energy. It was like being inside of a vacuum chamber. I felt this pressure inside my ears. You know how when you're driving on the freeway in your car and you have just one window rolled down and it's like like air pressure? You have to roll another window down or roll that one up, or you can't stand it. It's like too much. That's kind of what it was like. I just felt this pressure, and then this intense emotion came over me where I got very emotional. I just started weeping, and all of a sudden it was like these flashes and these images were coming into my mind, and I could hear voices. I literally, I don't know how to describe it, you guys, but I heard voices. There was people talking, and they weren't talking in English, but it was like they knew I was there, and it was like I could hear them talking behind me. It was like I could have sworn at one point that somebody came up through that little entrance behind me where I was sitting and was whispering to me in my ear from behind. And then I was weeping. I was like overcome with this emotion. And then, so I took my hat off. I was sitting there, and it was like I could hear people talking to me, and it was like whispering, and it was like if I was trying to interpret it telepathically, it was like they were saying, he's here, someone's here, they're in the doorway, they've entered, can they see, they can't see. And it was like these people having a conversation, like they could see me, but I couldn't see them, but I could hear them. But it was like they were talking in a different language. I don't know how to describe it. And then it was like I heard this shaman figure. It was distinctly like it was like an indigenous, like a Native American figure. And it was like he came right behind me in my ear, and he said, "You must see. You are here. You must see. It's time to see. Open your eyes." And then it was like in this vision or like in a dream. I don't even know how to do it. It's like he put his fingers on my cheek like this. Like he put one hand, his right hand on my cheek, on my left cheek, and then he pushed his thumb on my forehead. And before he did that, it's like he had this gray material, like some ash out of the fire, and it's like he had mixed it into a clay, almost like he had spit in his hand and mixed it in a clay with his thumb. And I'm telling you, this all was like in a vision that I had, and that I just filmed while I was sitting in there in that time lapse. And it was like he put one hand on my cheek like this with this ash on his thumb, and he pushed it against my forehead right here. And he said, "Open your eyes." And as soon as he did that, I opened my eyes, and the sunset was coming down, and it was directly face on through that like crack in the rocks. And the sun was like right in my face. And as soon as I opened my eyes and I looked at the sun, it was like this laser beam, like a giant, like staring down a tunnel of just like a download of spiritual information. And it was like love and compassion, and we know you, and we see you, and we love you, and like we're glad you're here. And it was waves and waves of like this intense feeling, and it felt like this purification. I don't know how to describe it. It felt like something was going through me, and it felt like these waves of energy, just like that were drawn in the petroglyphs, were like going up into space, up into the sky. It's like I could see all of this in my mind. And it was like I could see this whole energetic field of energy going up into the sky, like waves going up. And I'm just like weeping and just crying. Man, the sunset is so beautiful right now. This is such a special place. I don't even know how to put it into words. This is like... I don't take this stuff lightly. And if you're going to go take an interest in this stuff, if you want to go do remote viewing, if you're going to experiment with telepathy and go into ancient places, you have to know that there's like a real magic to this. And when you go and sit in these places, it's going to push you. I feel like I literally just spent... I feel like I was literally like slipped through a doorway or a gateway into the past or into some spirit realm where I was shown something. But when he said, open your eyes, and he pushed his thumb against my forehead, I opened my eyes, and it was literally the sunset right into my face. And as soon as I opened my eyes and saw the sun, it was like this message from the universe, like a message direct from God, penetrated right through my eyes and through my brain and through my whole soul. And it was like, oh man. I'm going to cry again just thinking about it. I can't even put into words like what it was like, stuff's not a joke. I hope you guys appreciate that I tell you guys these stories, because this shit is personal. I don't know how to describe this stuff, but these are the kind of things like people expect to come out here like I'm supposed to summon a UFO to come down from outer space and land, and then we're going to go talk to the aliens or whatever. But then I go sit under the petroglyph rocks. Instead, it's totally this like penetrating psychological, spiritual, almost like a shamanistic initiation experience where it's like you slip into the past and people are waiting there. It's like their spirit or their soul's waiting there to catch you, and they know what to do, and they're like, you need to see, open your eyes and see. I've had something really powerful like this happen to me over on the Anasazi Trail at the Magic Mesa. I'm going to have to check the MUPAS device when I get home too, because experiences like this have a way of following me home. I would not be surprised if I have a bunch of dreams tonight.
This is where we have to take a break again and actually look at the data and look at the MUPAS data from Dr. Jim Segala's Modular Unidentified Phenomena Alert System. This actually recorded simultaneous infrasound waves, a gyroscopic shift, and most importantly, a large wave up and down on changes in gamma noise and gamma signal. Now, there is two different kinds of gamma radiation. So gamma rays actually come from the most energetic objects in the universe, like the center of the sun. And gamma waves are brain activity and patterns within the brain and neural communication. And these two forms of gamma signals have a way of quantum interacting. And I think it's all fascinating that this gamma wave signal happened to occur at the same place as all of this ancient symbolism that has to do with the sun god Capri. And underneath these symbols that have to do with passageways into the underworld. Earlier, we looked at this 5-pointed star symbol, the symbol that could be a scarab beetle, and how it all connects to this interdimensional God that basically controls the movement of the sun. And if you know where gamma radiation comes from, gamma rays, they come from the center of the sun. So I find that all really fascinating in the data.
Like, how do I go home and just watch movies again? How do you go back? How do I go back to my house, sit there alone and just like make dinner? When places like this exist, you know? I wish you guys could know what that was like. It's like falling in and out of a dream while you're just sitting there awake. Like slipping into a doorway into the past. And there's people there waiting to show you something. How is this connected to... how is this supposed to be connected to UFOs? And how come these government whistleblowers coming out are all talking about these kinds of experiences? What is going on? Just while I'm sitting here talking, I can see these balls of light like appear and disappear in the sky. So I'm going to get the night vision out. It's completely dark outside now. There's just a little bit of sunset haze over the Sierra Nevada mountains to the west. But now we get to go walk around in the dark. We get to do this in the dark now. I cannot see hardly anything. I do have a flashlight on my head. I just heard the creepiest sound behind me. We'll see if it does it again. Something right up here. This is where where I just sat and did the whole meditation. Legit just heard footsteps behind me on the trail, and there is nobody here.